Hello aspirants, welcome to Grace IAS. Today we had come up with general orientation session on UPSC. So this session is useful for the freshers who are yet to start the UPSC preparation, and also for those students who have already started their preparation but somewhere they are lacking in guidance in general orientation, or they have a hazy idea about the general idea how to prepare about the UPSC. So please take benefit of this session, and also if you have any queries, please put it in the chat box. We will resolve it by the end of the session. In the question and answer session, during that time we will be talking to you regarding your queries and all. So be active, be interactive. We'll try to make it as interactive as possible, and we'll try to resolve almost all the doubts of yours. So let's get started. UPSC. So most of you would be knowing about UPSC, and the many students, they want for preparation for UPSC, but somewhere they lack the guidance how to start and all. So this session is basically will try to illuminate on how to start for the preparation. What are the general pattern for the UPSC? What are the eligibility criteria? How we should start our preparation? What should the strategy we should adopt? And then we'll also look into whether we should go for coaching of UPSC or we can prepare ourselves. So all the pros and cons, and this is what we are going to discuss in our session. So let's start. So this is what under these headings we are going to start. General exam pattern, syllabus, preparation strategy, optional subject, interview preparation, coaching versus self-study, previous year questions, the importance of previous year questions, and then the importance of studying newspaper. So before that, let's start with this quote of Swami Vivekananda. All of you must be knowing that Swami Vivekananda, he is being considered as a youth icon. His birthday is being celebrated. So when is his birthday? It's 12th January, right? 12th January is being celebrated as a youth day because he has been inspiring the youth. That's the reason he has his birthday is being celebrated as a youth day. So let's look into the quote. What is this quote says? Arise, awake, and stop not until the goal is reached. So in this context, I would like to talk about a story which all of you must have heard about in your childhood days, about the tortoise and a rabbit. So in that story, all of you know that who finally won the race. It was the tortoise who won the race, though it was the rabbit who was supposed to win the race, because he can run, the rabbit can run faster, isn't it? The rabbit can run faster and could have very easily won the race. But in spite of that, finally we know that it was a tortoise who had won the race. What was the reason behind that? The reason behind that was why the rabbit couldn't win the race. In spite of that, it was the rabbit who had more caliber to win the race, because the rabbit can walk or run much more faster than a tortoise. So that became actually a problem for not winning the race for the rabbit, because he got overconfident. He got overconfident that I can very easily win the race. Tortoise is a very low competitor for me in terms of running the race. So there was lack of consistency. One was there was overconfidence in the rabbit, and there was also lack of consistency, right? So we know that the rabbit, after running a distance, it saw that the tortoise is walking very slowly, and let me take some rest. once I take the rest, and I will recharge myself, and then again I'll run it, and I can easily win the race. But the rabbit took a very long nap, fell deep into sleep, and tortoise slowly and steadily went on to achieve its goal without taking the rest, or without, you can say, breaking the consistency. And finally, we know that the tortoise won the race. So what is the takeaway from this story? That slow and steady wins the race. But when it comes to UPSC preparation, steadiness is very important. Consistency is extremely important. But at the same time, we have to also maintain the speed. So what we can say, that we have to club the quality of rabbit as well as the tortoise. To clear your goal or to achieve your goal as soon as possible, you need both the ingredients, or both the quality of tortoise and rabbit. You have to maintain the speed, the fastness, at the same time you have to maintain the consistency, right? So you can take intermittent break, you can take intermittent rest. It's a marathon race. It is not a sprint race where you have to run for 100 or 200 meters. You have to run together for kilometers, miles together. So you have to maintain that consistency and the stamina, right? A lot of stamina is required, the consistency is required, and you can take intermittent break, but the break shouldn't be too long that you lose your consistency, right? So what we get to know from this story or this quote is that we have to maintain the steadiness and we have to also maintain the speed, right? So it's not, for UP achieving the goal, it's not like slow and steady, but you have to maintain the speed, a good speed. At the same time, you have to maintain the consistency. Intermittent short break can be taken to recharge yourself, right? Since it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. You need longer dedication, you need a lot of stamina, you have to be in good health and maintain the consistency, right? So now let's talk about bit by bits that under these topic we'll be dealing in our session. So let's start bit by bit. First, let's understand about what is UPSC. Since we started, it's an UPSC CSE preparation. See, UPSC is a constitutional body, right? UPSC is a constitutional body mentioned under Article 315, right? It's a constitutional body. It's a very powerful body. It's an independent body with a lot of power and also functions entrusted by the Parliament and the Constitution. So civil services examination, this orientation session is particularly about the civil services examination. So UPSC conducts many examinations like your NDA, CDS, Combined Defense Services, NDA, CDS, then your Indian Engineering Services, Indian Economic Services, right? So it's conduct a lot of examination. One among them is the CSE, and it is called as mother of all exam because the pattern of the exam in such a manner, or the syllabus is such that if you prepare for CSE, other competitive examinations tends to become easier because there is very exhaustive syllabus. The volume is very, very high and very, very exhaustive. So if somebody preparing for UPSC, mostly it is said that the mind and the horizons increase very vast in a very wider manner. The horizon is very, very wide. So their mind widen like anything. And so other examinations become quite easier to crack. Right? So it's an constitutional body, very powerful body, independent body. It is meant to protect the merit system. Protect the merit system. So CSE examination is based on your merit. No connection, no influence, purely based on merit, because it's a constitutional body and the duty of the UPSC to protect the merit system of the country, right? So whosoever getting selected, it has to be through the merit. So that's the reason a lot of power has been given, a lot of independence has been given, right? I hope till here you got some idea about UPSC. Then we will talk about civil services examination. Civil services. Civil services examination. So through this, the bureaucrats of the country, the bureaucrats, the civil servants of the country, they are being selected or recruited. So what is about civil service? Why is there so much of charm for civil services? Why? It is called, it has been called as an heaven-born service. Heaven-born service. Because the kind of contribution they make, one, and the kind of privilege associated with the service. The kind of privileges associated with the service, and also the kind of contribution they make to the society and building the nation. So civil services play, civil servants play very, very important, very essential role in building nation. Right? So that's why the services is very important. They are the implementer of the policy. They are the implementer of the policy. Implementer of the policy. Policy meant by the government, right? So they are the implementer of the policy meant by the government. So see, we can make very good policies, right? We can make very good policy, but if it is not implemented well, the entire policy becomes zero. Absolutely has no utility if they are not well implemented. So that's where the role of the civil servant is extremely important in implementing the policies of the government, right? And not only policies, in fact, in the formulations of the policy, in fact, in the formulation, in fact, in the policy formulation as well, though their main role is policy implementation, but they also significantly contribute in policy making, because all the technical informations, all the data and all, it is with them. So obviously when the ministers or the government, they make the policy, they take the help of the bureaucracy, isn't it? So they have a significant contribution in policy making as well, and most importantly in policy implementation. They're called as the steel frame of India. Steel frame of India. What is the meaning of steel when we say steel frame of India? You know, steel is a very hard metal and it is very protective in nature, right? If somebody made an armory of steel, that's give a lot of protection. It's like a shield, and steel is a very strong metal, isn't it? So they are like our shield, a shield made up of very strong metal, that is steel, right? So they are the steel frame of India, and they shield the country, they protect the country. See, it is the army also who protects the country, but finally from Kashmir to Kanyakumari and from the western border to the northeastern border, the entire country is being kind of, you know, it's united, and with the civil servants, the civil servants is like they behave like a steel frame which guard the entire country. It is because of them the administration is being run efficiently. So that is what the importance of civil service in any society, and so is in India. They are the very essential for nation building. It's not like the other professions are not important. Other professions are also very important, but the kind of impact they make to the society is comparatively larger. It's comparatively larger. As in district collector, when you have to take the decision, when you are making a decision, that impacts will be definitely much larger, isn't it? So that is what the significance of civil services. And it was Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, who is called as father of civil services in India, because he was the one who actually fought for the continuation of all India services, particularly all India services, which consist of your IAS, Indian Administrative Service, and Indian Police Service, Indian IPS, Indian Police Service. So that's outside the scope of the session to talk too much about all India services, but just understand that there is all India services which Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, he fought so much to protect that services, because he believed that through IAS and IPS it's an all India services, and we can protect the unity and integrity of the nation through these services. The states were not very happy. The state wanted their services. They didn't want that all India services, because it's an all India services, IAS and IPS, they are being recruited by the center, and then they are being sent to the different state in a state cadre where they work with the state government, right? So state weren't very happy with that, so they didn't want. But for maintaining the unity and integrity, to maintain the uniformity throughout the country, they are very important, and Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel has fought so much for them, and that's why he is being called as father of all India services or civil services in India, right? So I hope you got some clarity. As we move progress in the class, we'll be discussing about IAS, IPS and all, or what are the services under CSE examinations. So there are a lot of myths. Many people, they don't have idea about UPSC, though they want to prepare, but there are a lot of myths regarding that. So let's bust those myths. So it is called the toughest examination of the country. Indeed, it is toughest. Why it is toughest? Because of the volume of syllabus. It is toughest because the volume of syllabus is high. It's not that it's very technical or difficult to understand. The syllabus is tough or so. The syllabus is not that tough. Mostly the humanities subjects are there, or more concentration is given to the humanities subjects, which are not difficult to understand. But why still it is tough? Because the volume of syllabus is very, very high, and also the competition is very high. Why competition is very high? Because India being the largest populous country, and civil services being the most lucrative services, so those who are basically, who feel that they are, they have a talent, or they have certain kind of capability to achieve such certain things, those things. So those people, they try to prepare for UPSC, right? And you know, India, there's generally the post will be thousands or even less. Say if it is thousands, you get 10 lakhs form for that. 10 lakhs people or aspirants fill the form. So imagine the kind of success ratio. It's 0.001. 0.001. So that's what makes the UPSC difficult. So it's not difficult per se the syllabus. The difficulty lies in that the competition is very high, because We can look at the 10 lakhs, almost 10 lakhs applicants for the post of 1,000. So success ratio is definitely very, very low. So that's what makes UPSC tough examination. But then with proper strategy, correct guidance, definitely, those who are making, they are the one who had followed proper strategy. So definitely we can, somebody with proper strategy, they can crack. Second, only toppers can clear the exam. So again, there are a lot of myths. There is a lot of myths that only those, there's myths that only those who have topped in their schools and colleges more than 90 or 95% who have been getting throughout their schools and colleges, they are the ones who should be applying, because the propensity of clearing will be very high with them. Those who have really studied well in their schools and colleges, yes, of course, they should have really studied well, but percentage and all doesn't make big difference. Somebody with good conceptual clarity, definitely they can make it through the UPSC. So it's not like topper. We have a lot of examples. We have a lot of example where the people who were average in their schools and colleges and who have not secured very high percentage or percentile in their exams, still they have cracked, and some of them they have really got great ranks also. They have got really great ranks, even though they have not scored very high in their schools or colleges, above 90%, or you can say above 95%. So somebody who were average, who had good conceptual clarity till the class 10th. Class 10th is somewhere, that's the building block, we can say foundation. So somebody who were good at till class 10th, they can absolutely prepare, and even if later on they realize that though I was not very good at studies, I want to prepare for UPSC, so even they can, little bit hard work will be more. They'll have to do little more hard work. So we have seen, if you have seen that movie, 12th Fail. So we have seen how the person, he struggled so much in his schools and college, and during his preparation, still got the rank, right? So that breaks the myth. So with your strong dedication, anybody who have cleared their degree, they can definitely apply for the exam and work hard to clear the exam. So we have a lot of examples like that. So that is a myth that only toppers can clear the exam. It's not like that. Aspirants need to know everything. No, nobody knows everything. Nobody knows everything. Nobody knows. Nobody can say that, I know everything. Knowledge is unlimited, right? It's infinite. It's not finite. So nobody can know everything. So obviously there are certain things which you are supposed to know by looking at the syllabus and the PYQ, previous year questions. You will come to know what you are supposed to know and what you are not supposed to know, right? So we need not know everything. Candidates should remember a lot of facts. Again, this is also a myth. Many people, they feel, while studying history particularly, many people, they have a lot of doubt that should we remember all the dates and all the facts. So it is not like that. Again, the PYQ, when you look at the previous year's questions paper, you will get an idea that what kind of facts you have to remember and what kind of facts you don't have to remember. Not every fact is important, isn't it? And nobody can memorize all the facts as well. So there are certain important facts which we should know. Candidates should study 15 to 20 hours a day. Again, is it possible in 24 hours? Is it possible that you can study for 20 hours? 15 to 20 hours, and sustainability, with sustaining effort. Is it possible? You can study maybe one day or 2 days, but you can't, throughout your preparation, you can study for 15, 20 hours a day, because 8 hours you need a sleep, a good sound sleep, at least 7 to 8 hours of sleep every day is important. Otherwise, it will impact your health, and you have to maintain your health. You have to be in good health. So good sleep is important. So 8 hours is anyway taken out of that. So we have how many hours? 16 hours, right? In 16 hours, you can't study for 15 hours, isn't it? Even if we look at the low denomination, that's not possible that in 16 hours you have left and you will be studying for 15 hours or 20 hours. That's not at all possible. So somewhere if you are studying consistently 7 to 8 hours a day or 8 to 9 hours a day, that should be more than enough. With consistency and focus, of course. Focus is required. Whenever you are studying, you have to be very focused. Your concentration has to be high, right? Totally undeviated concentration. And with intermittent break, why I said 8-9 hours? Because you can't study all together. You can sit and study for 15 hours or so. So 16 hours is available with you if we deduct 8 hours for sleeping time. Within 16 hours, you have to manage the time, right? Along with your taking food and other routine activities what you will be doing, and also rest. You have to take intermittent rest also. Like you study for 1 hour or 1.5 hours or 2 hours, as much you can stretch, take little bit of rest or break, again you start, right? So in that way, cumulatively 7 to 8 or 8 to 9 hours, that should be more than enough every day, but maintain every day at least 6 days, 6 days in a week. 6 days in a week, you should maintain the consistency. 1 day or maybe half day in a week, you can go for a break. Because break is also important, otherwise you will be burnout. It will be burnout. You need to recharge yourself. Then should read many books. Should read many books. Again, that's a myth. Should read many books throughout their preparation. Again, many books, like how many books we should study. So in this way, you have to be very, very cautious that limited your material, whatever you are studying, it should be limited. One thing, it should be authentic material. So there are a lot of material available in the market and it may confuse you. So go with the authentic materials like NCERT and some reference book which are quite popular, maybe one. Like for example, Indian polity. If I have to give you the example of Indian polity or the polity, you can study NCERT 6 to 12th, at least 6 to 10th you study once, and then 11th and 12th you can study maybe 2-3 times, or you can make notes also out of that. And then one reference book is Lakshmikant. This quite good book, very important book, important from your prelims particularly, and also for the mains I would say. So NCERT and Lakshmikant will do for polity. Along with, of course, the newspaper. You will be updating from the newspapers and magazines, right? So more than enough for polity. Similar way for history, similar way for geography, limited material. We should not run after material, that we have to collect so much of material, then only we'll become district collector, right? So it's not like that. You don't have to collect so much of material. Authentic material, limited material, and you study several times, multiple revisions. Multiple revision is the key. Multiple revision, that's very important. Multiple revision, okay? Notes making. Notes making. Now for notes making, see it's depend. If you are habituated to make notes, of course notes is helpful. One, that you are writing, so some form of writing practice happens, and also you are focused while making notes, isn't it? You will be more focused while making notes. So your focus will be there, hence better understanding and better memory. So in that way, and also it will be helpful for your quick revision. Since you have made it, it will be easy for you for the final touch and all. So in that way, the notes making is very important. But notes making should be done only when you have got good hold over the subject. Don't start, then the first reading itself, you start making notes. That won't help you, because you will end up writing another book. You will end up writing another book. So read at least 2-3 times, develop the conceptual clarity, and then you can make notes. Notes should be very crisp, very short, very, very brief. Isn't it? Like 1,000 pages. If you are reading the books of 1,000 pages, how can you boil down in 10-20 pages, 10-20 pages, right? So that should be the notes making, the art. It's also an art. It's very brief, very crisp for the final touch. I hope you got clarity till here, that we have busted the myths of UPSC, isn't it? And we have talked that there are a lot of myths and the truth is very different. That's what we have discussed. Now look at the eligibility criteria, that who are eligible. Many people, they have a doubt that am I eligible for writing the exam or not. So this is what the age limit is, 21 to 32 years. There is a relaxation we'll be talking about as per the category. Some age relaxation is there. Educational qualification, it is graduation. There is no percentage or pass percentage which is being fixed. Anybody who have cleared their exam. So anybody who has got even this 40% is the passing mark, isn't it? So somebody even has got 40% in the graduation and have done degree from the recognized college which are under the UGC. It has to be the recognized under the UGC. So if you have got a degree under the UGC, you are eligible if you have cleared your examination. So there is no pass percent or there is no fixed that you need to have 60 or 70% in your graduation, then only you can write the exam. It's nothing like that. You just have to clear the exam. You are a degree holder. Nationality, Indian citizens. Very obvious, right? Minimum age limit, this we have just talked about, 21 years. For your OBC, it is 9 attempts. 9 attempts till 35 years. Can write, means 21 to 35 years, 9 attempts. Scheduled caste, scheduled tribes till 37 years. So from 21 to 37 years, it's unlimited attempt. So almost 15 or 16 attempt can write. General candidate, 6 attempt and 6 attempt, 32 years. And person with disability, they have a reservation also with person with disability. So till 35 to 42 years. According to the kind of disability, they can write till 42 years maximum. According to the disability, that relaxation will be given, right? So this is what the relaxation you will be getting. You have to attend 21 years minimum on 1st August of that particular year. In whichever year you are writing the examination, you have to attend 21 years by 1st August. Then you are eligible to write. So somebody who wants to write their examinations, because the prelims examination, your prelims examination is generally in the month of May or June. So somebody born in the month of July, can they write that year examination? Yes, they can write. Somebody who has born in the month of July and they will turn 21 in the July, still they can write even if the exam is May or June, right? But by 1st August, they have to turn 21 year, right? And who have just written their final examination, degree examination, and the result has not come, still they can write the prelims. But if they are writing mains, they have to produce their mark sheet and all. Suppose they clear their exam, prelims, they clear in the first attempt itself, just after their graduation. So they'll have to write mains. In the mains, they have to show their marks card and all of the graduation. Yes, clear till here? So most of us would be knowing that it's a 3-stage process. Many of us, they know that it's a 3-stage process: prelims, mains and interview, right? So first stage, which is objective in nature. First stage, it is objective in nature, MCQ kind of question, prelims. Mains, it is descriptive in nature, descriptive, right? In your mains, written, it is written, and this one is your oral. Personality test is your oral in nature, right? So objective, first stage, prelims. So those who qualify the prelims goes to the mains, which is written or descriptive, and then third, which is the personality test, it is oral in nature, right? In detail we'll be discussing now. So look at the prelims examination, the first stage, general studies. So you have two papers, general studies and civil services aptitude test, that is CSAT. Right? So this is what the syllabus. So prelim syllabus, they had given very brief in nature. They had given very brief. You can't make out exactly like what you have to study within the syllabus, what is given. You will not be able to make out. Whereas in mains, they had given quite descriptive syllabus. They have given quite wider syllabus. So you can refer the mains syllabus. Within the syllabus what we have to write, but there are little distinction between mains and prelim syllabus, little distinction. So this is what you have to study: current events of national and international importance, national and international importance. History you have to study, so you have to study the current affairs, you have to study history, you have to study in India and world geography, India and world geography, right? Physical, social, then economic geography of India and world, Indian polity, you have to study polity, then you have to study economics, you have to study economy particularly, Indian economy, not so much into the kind of technicalities of the economy, but more from the point of view of Indian economy. Then you have to study social sector initiative like government schemes and all, government schemes, particularly for the vulnerable section of the society. Then environment and ecology, general science. So in general science, the question will be from general science plus some recent development. You can say science and technology, recent development in science and technology. Like if the government has come up with new vaccines, like during COVID we developed the vaccines, what are the types of vaccine, mRNA vaccines and all, DNA vaccines. So such kind of informations which you will have to update from the current events, right? Some general science from like physics, chemistry, bio, what we have studied in our school days, and mainly the questions will come from recent development, right? So these are what you have to study: geography, history, current affairs, polity, economy. So major subject, you can say that you have to study history, geography, economy, polity. This is the major, plus environment, you can say. So you can say 1, 2, 3, 4 core subject. Four core subject you can say, that's history, polity, geography, economy, plus environment. These are your core for the prelims as well as the mains. These are more important subject. The weightage is more. Of course, science and technology is there, but the weightage are given more to these subjects. along with the current affairs. Current affairs anyway you'll have to study. You'll have to study current affairs for economics, current affairs for environment, current affairs for polity, isn't it? So current IER, international relation and all. So that is how the GS paper 1. GS paper 2. GS paper 2, majorly you have to study about the comprehension passage, logic reasoning and general mental ability. These are the main constituent of your subject, CSAT, right? Major questions coming from these 3 sections, you can say kind of equitable distribution of the marks from these 3 subjects you will be getting, and all of class 10th level. Again, exactlities of class 10th level a little bit higher, you will know by looking at the PYQ. PYQ, here also PYQ. See, from the syllabus you may not understand so much, but when you look at the previous year questions paper, you will get an idea that what question is being asked in history, what question being asked in polity, what is the label of the question, is it very complex or it is easy and direct. So all this kind of understanding you will have when you look at the previous year questions paper, and same for the CSAT. So I keep on emphasizing always that previous year questions, they are the most important guide, it helps you in streamlining your preparation, that how much you should study, what type of, and on the basis of what type of question had been asked, you can mold your preparation, right? One is your, you should have a good knowledge of the PYQ, both the subject and also the cutoff. How much cutoff? Like for example, GS 200 marks, isn't it? 200 marks, and CSAT also 200 marks. Both the subjects 200 marks and 200 marks. So how much should I get to clear? Should I get 200 out of 200, or should I get 150 out of 200? All these questions in your mind, that what would be the cutoff, how much should I solve to clear the examinations, that you can know from the cutoff. You can look into the previous year cutoff of general studies and CSAT. CSAT anyway it is fixed, since 2015 it is fixed. You have to get for CSAT, it is 66 marks out of 200. 66 marks out of 200 you have to get, right? And there is also negative marking, so be careful. Net 66 marks. GS cutoff will vary. GS cutoff will vary depending upon the difficulty of the question. If the question is very difficult, of course the cutoff will go down. Like last year the cutoff was very less, 75 was the cutoff, because in 2023 the pattern of options were bit complex, students found bit complex, so that is how the cutoff went down. So if the questions are tough, nobody should feel that, oh my god, it's very tough, because automatically the cutoff will come down, and it is not tough for me alone, it is tough for everyone, isn't it? So that is how we should always think. People say that, the earlier the questions were easy, but now the questions are tough. But look at the cutoff. Earlier the cutoff were high, but now the cutoff is going down, isn't it? So it's all labeler. It's all labeler. It's all gets labeled. And look at this. What we have to do. I mean, we just discussed that paper 2 is qualifying in nature. Paper 2 is your qualifying in nature. The marks are not counted because you have to get 66 out of 2, and this is fixed. If you don't clear CSAT and you have cleared the cutoff of GS, still you are not qualified. Both the subject, both CSAT and GS, both separately you have to clear. CSAT 66 marks you have to get, 66 out of 200, and GS according to the cutoff if you have cleared. So both the subject has to be cleared, right? So those who are cracking the prelims, they will go into the main stage for written, right? For CSAT, that's it's qualifying in nature, the marks are not counted. but still you have to qualify. 66 you have to get minimum. If not getting 66, you are still disqualified in prelims. GS paper marks will be decided on the basis of the cutoff. You have to clear the cutoff of GS. I hope you got the clarity. CSAT minimum 66 marks, you have to get it, and also GS you have to clear the cutoff, right? Both the paper it is mandatory to attempt. Suppose the first paper is the GS and you go in the morning, you attempted the GS paper, and afternoon because of any reason you are not able to attempt the CSAT paper. So if you have not attempted any paper, means you will not be qualifying. Both the paper has to be attempted, and then you have to clear the cutoff of those particular two paper, right, separately. Both the paper is mandatory. The candidate will be disqualified if appear only in one paper. Then there is a negative marking. That's very, we have to be very careful. Earlier there was no negative marking, but 2006 or 7 they have, 2007 probably they have introduced the negative marking. So since then there is a negative marking. 1/3 marks is being deducted. 1/3 marks will be deducted from your correct answer if you attempt it wrong, right? 1/3 marks will be deducted. So you have to be very careful while marking the options, right? The second stage, that is mains, there are total 9 paper. So those who clear the prelims goes to the next stage, that is the mains, which is descriptive in nature. You have total 9 papers, 7 plus 2. 7 plus 2. So these 7 marks, these 7 papers, the marks will be counted. These 2 paper not counted, but they are qualifying. These 2 paper are what? Qualifying in nature. They are qualifying in nature, these 2 paper. What are these 2 paper? Your compulsory English and compulsory language. So one is the compulsory English and one is the language paper. So from 8th schedule, there are 22 languages. Among those 22 languages, you can choose one language like Hindi, Kannada, Urdu, Assamese, Bodo, Dogri, any one, and you have to qualify. And these 2, whereas these papers, each paper carrying 250 marks. Each paper carrying 250 marks. But here it is of these 2 paper, they carry 300 marks each, right? 300 marks each. Duration of the exam will be 3 hours. 3 hours for each paper. 3 hours for each paper. And yes, for language and English it is 300 marks each. You have to secure 25% marks. Means you have to get 75 out of 300 in each paper. 75 out of 300 in each paper you should be getting in the qualifying paper, that is language and English. That's minimum. If you don't, any of this paper, if you fail language or English paper, others paper will not be evaluated. Hence, you are disqualified in your mains. So be careful. Many a time people take it very lightly, that's English or language, it's qualifying in nature, we can easily do it. It's not like that. A little bit of preparation for those subjects are also important. Then all of them are descriptive in nature. Yes. So we have done with this. Now these are the papers whose marks are counted, and you see mains is the most important for your final selection. Prelims is the first stage which is screening in nature. 10 lakhs people, almost 10 lakhs people applying. isn't it? That if all the 10 lakhs people they are writing, written, it will be very difficult for the evaluator to evaluate 10 lakhs paper, isn't it? So it's screening in nature. Those are good candidates. They will go to the main stage. So suppose 10 lakhs people they are writing the exam, and somewhere if the vacancies is 1000, if the vacancy is 1000 and 10 lakhs people they are applying, somewhere 15,000, 14 to 15,000, if the vacancy is 1000, 14 to 15,000 they will be clearing, approximately they will be clearing the prelims and they will be writing their mains, right? And your final selection will be mains plus interview marks. Prelims marks are not added. So prelims is just for the screening, right? So you don't have to top the prelims. That is what the difference is. Prelims, you just have to clear the cutoff. That is what we have to remember, isn't it? We don't have to top. Even if you top, there is no significance of it because the marks are not counted, they are not added, isn't it? But the mains is very different. Mains you should really try to top because that will determine your selection and also your rank. If you really get good marks in mains, even if you get less marks in interview, you are still selected, isn't it? And you've got very good marks in mains, very good marks in interview, you will be among the top ranks. You will be among the top ranks, isn't it? So mains, which is very, very significant, consists of total 1750 marks. Look at this paper, the marks which will be counted, essay paper 250 marks. The duration for each paper is 3 hours. Then general studies paper 1, that consists of your Indian heritage history, that is art and culture history, geography of India and world, and society. So there are 4 basically topic. One is your history, including the art and culture, your geography and society. 3 topics, right? 3 topics for 3 subjects you can say in paper 1. Paper 2 deals with governance, constitution, polity, social justice and IR, right? So these are the brief kind of you can say the topic, broad topic under which the questions will be asked. Governance, polity regarding our the Indian constitutions, governance, RTI, Right to Information Act, role of civil services in democracy, social justice, various programs and initiatives about the vulnerable sections of the society, poverty alleviations, those schemes dealing with hunger and malnutrition, for education, all those social sector schemes particularly meant for the vulnerable section of the society, the role of NGOs, self-help groups in the development, all this will be in the social justice, right? International relation, how India shares its relationship with the world, UN organizations, role of Indian diaspora in the or you can say the contribution of Indian diaspora in the development of our country, those kind of topic, India-US relation, India-Russia relationship, India neighborhood relationship, all kind of topic under the IR, right? 250 marks again. Then GS paper 3, your science and technology, economy, environment, security, disaster management. So such topic like you can say inflation, WTO, World Bank, IMF, various banking system, monetary policy, fiscal policy, inflation targeting, employment, unemployment, all these topics, agriculture, MSP, minimum support price, all those schemes related with the development of agriculture, because Indian economy is mainly agrarian, still agrarian. So a lot of importance is given to the agriculture sector in the economy. So such kind of topic, and from environment, the issues of climate change and all, science and technology, the recent development regarding biotechnology, nanotechnology, space technology, security issues like nationalism, issues like secessionism, insurgency, role of various security forces in guarding our nation, all those things, maintenance of law and order, but it will come under the security. And then disaster management, various type of natural and man-made disasters. Like recently we had, last year the railway accident has happened. So it's a man-made kind of disaster. Then natural disasters. India is prone to natural disaster like flood almost every year, then drought, earthquake, such kind of natural disaster. All this you will be studying under disaster management. Then GS paper 4, ethics, integrity and aptitude. What do you mean by honesty, integrity, happiness, such kind of philosophical topic, which very important for a person who will be discharging the job of a civil servant, to be ethical, because again, as I told you, the decisions they take and the impact they make on the society is very, very huge. So it's very important that they should have ethical concerns in them, right? So that is what GS paper 4 is about. Then you will have to choose one optional in which you have 2 paper, each carrying again 250 marks, 250 marks. Means your optional is of your 500 marks, having 2 paper, 250, 250. Paper 1, paper 2. Any one optional like history, geography, political science, public administration, economics, English literature. We'll look into that, what are the, the options has been given. I hope till here you clear, right? So total 1000 marks. Total written is your 1750. Out of that, 1000 is your 4 GS paper. 4 GS paper. 1 you have essay paper, 250. And then 1 optional, which is 500 marks, isn't it? So total 1750, 4 GS paper, 1 essay paper and 1 optional 500, total 1750. So out of that, if you clear the cutoff, you have cleared your mains. But mind it, as I have already emphasized, that just clearing mains is not enough. You have to be really good in mains, because mains, out of 1750, whatever you will be getting, that is actually be deciding your selection. So please give a lot of focus to mains, prepare really well by practicing a lot of answer writing, get it evaluated, and working on your weak areas, boost your answer writing skill, right, basically. Then those who clear, they go to the interview round, that is 275 marks. Out of 275 marks, whatever you will be getting, that will be added to your main marks, and finally out of 2025, whatever will be the cutoff. And if you have cleared the cumulative cutoff means your mains marks plus interview marks. It's not only interview marks. Many people, they say that didn't you clear your interview, or you were left out at the interview stage. So basically it is not the, the final round is not the interview, that you have to clear the interview. As I said, somebody who has got, there is no passing or failing marks in interview. Like for mains, you have the cutoff, right? For interview, there is no cutoff. There is no cutoff in the interview. Whatever the marks you get in the interview, that will be added to your mains. So if your mains marks is really good and interview you got decent marks, both will be clubbed together and you will be clearing your final exam. You will be there in the merit list. If you have written really well your mains and got decent marks in the interview, right? Somebody who have just cleared the mains, somebody who have just cleared the mains, suppose 700 was the cutoff, and if you get 700 means you have cleared your mains, isn't it? You have cleared your mains, but 90% chance is that you will not make in the final list unless and until you get more than 210 in your interview. That is what the gap is. But somebody who have secured, if 700 was the cutoff, somebody have already secured 800 marks in the mains or 850 marks in the mains. Even if just getting 100 or 120 marks in the interview, the person is already there in the final list. But imagine how much gap you have to cover if you get just clearing the mains, isn't it? You have to cover the huge gap, getting more than 210 marks in the interview. Then only you will be somewhere in the list, isn't it? So that's what we keep on emphasizing, mains, mains, mains. Of course, interview also you have to prepare really well, and in fact it is an integrated preparation. It's not like, you prepare first for mains and for prelims, and then you go for mains, and then you go for interview. That's a very faulty process of preparations, and 90% of the candidate, they prepare in that manner, and that is why they fail many times. So correct strategy is very important. In fact, somebody who have really prepared for mains, they'll have an edge in prelims also, because their concept will be more clear, isn't it? Their concept will be more clear, which will help them in clearing prelims also, because a lot of analytical questions being asked in the prelims. So those questions, if you are only focusing on the factual aspect, prelims is not only about factual aspect. So somebody who have cleared their mains, the propensity is that they will be clearing their prelims. Suppose they have not made into the final list this year, the propensity is that next year prelims they will be clearing. We have seen there are students who have even got ranks, but the next prelim they have not cleared. So that kind of things are also there. But if you are really prepared well for one time, nicely, your concepts are clear, nobody can stop you in clearing the prelims. That's for sure. Nobody can stop you if your concepts are clear. And you have, your understanding of the topic is good, and you really performed well in the exam also, because many a time, the preparation and performance do not match. That is where we fail. So your preparation and your performance has to match. Those 2 hours in your prelims will be deciding factors. 2 hours for GS and 2 hours for your CSAT. So those 4 hours very crucial. You may be very well prepared, but then if you don't perform on that day, you are gone, isn't it? So you have to really read the questions very carefully and then answer them, right? Now optionals. So these are the list of your optional. The list of your optionals. So there are basically 25 plus 22 plus 1. So 25 optional. These are your agriculture, anthropology, botany, medical, mechanical engineering, philosophy and all. Right? The list of optional. I will not go into detail. We'll have one session exclusively for optional, like how to choose optional and all. So during that time, I'll be dealing with in detail about the optional. But as of now, you just see there are 25 papers. These are the general 25 papers which are mentioned on the screen. And then there are 22 language paper which are mentioned in the 8th schedule. And there is one English literature. You can go for English literature. So 22 language plus 1 English literature, that is 23, and these are the 25 options. So altogether 48 options. You can choose any one among them, right? Now what are the popular optionals and all? We will be taking a separate class on. Personality test and interview. So this is the third round or final round of your examination, that is the personality test. It is oral in nature. It is oral in nature. So basically 1:2 or 1:3, or you can say basically 1:2.5. This is how they choose. So if 1,000 vacancies are there, generally 2,500 to 3,000 people will be selected for the final round. Out of the around 15,000, those who have written mains, taking 1,000 as in vacancies, if 1,000 is the vacancies, if 15,000 somewhere they have cleared their mains, out of that finally 2,500 to 3,000 people will be selected for the final round, that is the interview round, means they have cleared their mains. And basically what they look into the interview, already they have checked your written aspect, and they know that you have the knowledge, that the reason you reached here, you have crossed prelims, you have crossed mains, and then you are reaching here. It's an all India level examination, so definitely they can't doubt your knowledge and all. But what they basically look into, how do you deal or how do you communicate with them? It's written, when it's main, it is written communication, isn't it? Through your answer, they try to analyze your performance. Here it is oral communication. Then oral communication also involves your body language, your confidence, right? So those kind of things are also very important, and through your answer, they will try to analyze your social traits, your leadership quality, right? Basically, you are going to lead at a very young age. That is what the importance of civil services. At a very young age, you get an opportunity to lead. As a district collector, you are the head of the entire district. Imagine, at a very young age, you are being given such a substantial, important leadership role, isn't it? So, as young as like 21 or 22, you will be clearing your examination in the first attempt if you are clearing. If you are attempting at the age of 21, by the entire process take around 1 year, you are 22 or you are still in 21, you have cracked your examination at the age of 21, 22, and after your training and probation at the age of 25 or 26, after 5 years or after 7 years, you are being posted as a district collector. So at the age of 27, 28, you are district collector. Imagine, as young as 28-year-old person having the command over the entire district. So obviously they will look into your leadership quality, presence of mind. That's very significant aspect of a leader, isn't it? So basically they look at leader in you. How can you lead, right? So that is what the importance of your interview. On the basis of the way you have performed, you will be getting marks. Now these are the services. So one exam, 25 services. One exam, 25 services, isn't it? Look at that. All India services, Indian Administrative Service, Indian Police Service. You have Indian Forest Service. For that, prelims is common, but mains is different, right? Then list of central services like Indian Foreign Services, Indian Audits, Indian Revenue. So depending upon your rank, top services are generally the All India services. So those who get the top ranks, and also their preferences, they have mentioned the preference that I want to become an IAS, and also got the top ranks. So among the top rankers, they get IAS, IPS, and then in the central services, Indian Foreign Service is those who get mostly within 100 for the general category, within 100 or maybe within 70 or 80 for the general category. They have to be there to get the IFS rank. And then there are group B services. So mostly these all are group A. This is group A, this is group A, this is group B services. So mostly you can see group A services, and there are few group B services like Delhi, Andaman, Nicobar Civil Service and the Police Service. That's DENIX. And yeah. So these are the other examinations. So as I mentioned in the very beginning that UPSC conducts others examination as well, isn't it? Apart from the civil services examination, they also conduct your Indian Economic Service, Central Police Forces, Engineering Services, Geologist Examination, National Defense, National Academy, Combined Defense Services, isn't it? So these are the other services. I hope you got A group A, and these are the group A. So this and this, there are total almost 25 services you can see. I hope you got the clarity. So depending upon your rank and your preference, the service will be allotted, right, on the basis of rank and preference. So having talked about the basics thing, you will also be very much interested in knowing the strategy, because that is what a right strategy, adoption of right strategy leads to better result, isn't it? It is the strategy basically which can make or break your chance. So we have to give focus on correct strategy. So this is where the preparation strategy very important. See, the UPSC preparation is very simple. It's very simple. The only thing is that many candidates, there is lack of clarity basically. People have lack of clarity how to start and then what to follow, how to follow. So that's basically an art. If you get a correct guidance, right approach, definitely you will make it. So understanding the syllabus, that's very key, important. You have to understand that what you have to study and what you don't have to study. Many a time, the student don't know about the syllabus. People say read NCERT, they will start reading NCERT, they'll start reading Lakshmikant, they'll start reading Spectrum and all. But many a time they don't know what is the syllabus. So first you have to scan through the syllabus. You have to always keep a copy of syllabus with you, so that you come to know, okay, how much I have to study, whether, the world history is there in prelims or it is only in mains, or again, previous year questions paper, PYQ. That's also very important, because through the PYQ you will understand what is the nature of the question. From the syllabus, what to study, and from the PYQ, basically within that, what to study, what is the range. Like in history, how much we can study, what is the range. So by looking at the PYQ, you will come to know, okay, these type of questions they have been asking, probably these are the range. So 10 years of paper, if you see, you'll get a good idea. See, current affairs, the role of current affairs is very important in your prelims, and particularly in the mains, I would say. In mains, it is even more important. Even in your interview, that day newspaper, they'll be asking, they'll be reading the newspaper, and then they'll be, ask you the questions related to that day news itself. So current affairs is very important. As a civil servant, you are supposed to be abreast with the current affairs, isn't it? That's very important because as an implementer of the policy and as a contributor to the policy making, you should be abreast that what is going in around, isn't it? Only if you are a well-aware person, that also helps in improving your work, having good command over your work, because you are more aware, you are more knowledgeable, you are more informative. That's impact your work as well. So that's the reason. That's the reason they make you the habit, isn't it? The entire process of UPSC, the prelims, mains, and interview, it is all about basically they give you a pre-training. It is like giving you a pre-training. So before getting into the services, finally getting selected, you are already habituated of doing those things. Collecting informations, having ideas, knowledge, good writing skill, isn't it? Very fast. Because as in secretary, as in civil servant, you will have to keep the informations, data and all. As in secretary, you may have to note it down what the ministers is, they're having the agreements or they're talking about. You'll be sitting beside taking down the notes. So mains, that's the reason that mains or written, you should have the command over writing skill. An interview, you have to be talking and communicating with the people, with the officers. You may have to represent India at the international forum. So you need to have a good communicator, isn't it? You need to have a decent and good and effective communicator, basically, very effective communicators. So that is what they're checking in you, isn't it? Through the entire process. Reading newspaper, you will develop, because The preparation takes around 1.5 years to 2 years minimum. You can say 1 to 2 years minimum of preparation if you are starting afresh. If you have been starting during your college days, which is the best way to start when you are still in the college days, but if not, even after your graduation, if you are starting, minimum you can say 1.5 years to 2 years, it takes time. So if continuously those 2 years you have been reading newspaper anyway, you will develop that habit of reading newspaper, isn't it? So that's the reason the entire scheme and the pattern of the exam is such that they are giving you the pre-entry training. It is considered as a pre-entry training. So I spoke about the importance of current affairs, important for prelims, mains and interview, and that you can do through the newspaper. That is the best way to study. Apart from that, you can go through some selective magazines and some important websites as well, which we'll be discussing again. See, this is a general orientation. We'll be coming up with the specific orientation session also, like importance of current affairs. We'll be also coming up few examples, some questions based on current affairs, so that you'll come to know what type of questions are being asked in your prelims and mains, which will give you a good direction to study the current affairs, right? How to study newspaper, that also will come in a separate session. Study material, as I've already mentioned, that limited and authentic material is important, right? Again, in another session, I'll be talking about what the books and all you have to study. Practice. Practice is important. Just reading, it's not enough. You have to solve the question and see whether you are able to solve it or not, right? So for that, practice. You read, you study, and then try to solve the question. Through that only you come to know the utility of your study, how well you are studying, the outcome of your study, isn't it? Learning outcome, you will come to know only when you solve the question. If you are able to solve it correctly, means yes, you have studied well, you are able to understand, isn't it? If you are not able to solve well, means you will have to remold your study, isn't it? And you may have to go more revisions. You will come to know why I am solving it wrong. What is the reason behind that? So only when you solve the question, you will come to know where you are standing. So practice, very important. Go for the good test series. But before that, PYQ, that's very important. I always say emphasize on PYQ. Look at the PYQ. Try to solve it. You will come to know where you are standing and where you have to reach. Time management. Now, time management is a very important factor in during your preparation and also during your exam. That's very important. During your preparation and during your exam, time management is extremely important. So during, there are 24 hours, you have to effectively utilize those 24 hours. And during the exam, in prelims, you have general studies, 2 hours of duration. Within 2 hours, you have to solve the paper. Similar way for CSAT, you have 2 hours of paper. How well you are managing, how well you are able to solve, whether you are able to complete the paper or not. So effective time management is very significant, very important. Many a time, many candidates fail because of lack of time management during the preparation strategy, and most importantly during their exam, in the exam hall. So the importance of time management can never ever be overlooked. It's very important. Revision. Now, revision has always been the key, right? Even in your schools and college days, you have been revising, isn't it, to get good marks? So study limited material, whatever good authentic material, revise several times, because it is through the revisions only you'll be able to remember. There are a lot of questions which are based on facts and data. You'll have to memorize certain things. So that will come only through the revision, regular revision. So this is what the practice, understanding the syllabus. As I always told you, syllabus is very important. Then PYQ, along with the syllabus, PYQ. The role of current affairs, I already discussed why it is very important. Study material, it should be very limited, authentic. Lot of practice of the questions. Time management, very crucial. revision is the key. That's extremely important if you have to really clear your examination, because I have seen many students, because of lack of revision, they have been making more mistakes even in easy questions. Even in easy questions, because of lack of revision, they have been making mistakes. So revision is very, very important. I hope you got the clarity regarding the preparation strategy. You can, mold your own preparation, but this is what a basic strategy. Optional subjects. So how to choose optional? Basically, these are the the parameters to choose the optional, like degree background. If you suppose have commerce and you want to choose commerce and accountancy, it is based on degree. If you have already done in economics and you want to choose economics as an optional, so these are the some subjects which you can choose on the basis of your degree. Then many a time people, they don't choose the same subject which they are doing in the degree, like mostly the science background student, and even commerce. Somebody have done commerce, but they may choose public administration or political science, or may, they may like history. So there is no bar, you can choose. So overlapping with the general studies. So some people, they choose because it is also helping in general studies, like for example, public administration, political science, history, geography. These are the subjects also in your GS, isn't it? So they feel that yes, if I study with the optional and also with it's helping me in GS. So sometimes the people, they choose on the basis of overlapping with the GS. Sometimes the people also choose that which subjects is doing good, sociology, anthropology, political science, public administration, history. So depending upon that also sometimes they choose, but trending is something where I feel that it should be kept it as a matter of last resort. Should be last resort. Mainly your degree, yes, if it is overlapping, interest is very, very important, because you should feel the subject to be interesting apart from other aspect. Resource availability, many a time, and guidance. Many a time people, they don't choose because of lack of resources. Like say if I am interested in math subject, but the guidance for math subject is very limited, or the resources are limited. So in that way, I may not choose the subject even if I want to choose, because of the guidance is limited. It is limited. That's not very wide guidance for that. So in that case also, many people, they choose those subjects for which the guidance are important. I mean, guidance are available, resources are easily available. So there are several factors which is being considered while choosing your option. But very importantly, you see, interest is somewhere, I believe that's very, very important. But many a time, when you start, you don't know whether you are finding the subject interesting or not. So already if you have started, you should try to make feel interest in that subject rather than changing it. If you want to change it initially. Better, before taking the optional, first you study general studies. Then you may develop, maybe, this subject is interesting, I can go with the optional. That will be a better way. Or if somebody have already decided that I want to choose this optional, you can go with that. That's your conviction. That's your conviction. So the most important is the conviction in that subject. If you have conviction in the subject, any subject, you will get through with any subjects. We have toppers with almost all the subjects. Almost all the subjects, and people have got good rank also. So with almost all the subject, people have qualified, they have got good ranks. So it depends how much conviction you have for that particular subject. Interview preparations, like how should you prepare for interview? So at general guidance, current affairs, that's very, very important. Very important, because as I told you, sometimes they'll be sitting with the newspaper and then they'll ask you from that day newspaper itself, some current news and all. So current affairs is very important. Your communication skill is, again, the way you communicate in a very effective manner. You reach out to the panel members. That's extremely important. Critical thinking and analytical ability. If they ask you some questions which may require a little bit of more analysis, and that may require little you more understanding of the topic before answering. So that kind of thing. Suppose they ask you that whether India is behaving like a big brother to its neighboring countries, because the neighboring countries, they are very tiny, isn't it? In front of India, they are very tiny, very small. So whether do you believe that India is behaving like a big brother? So such type of questions require a good critical thinking, isn't it? So that's what you have to develop. Ethics and integrity. You have to maintain, honesty and integrity in your answer. If you know it well, you tell. If you don't know it well, you have to take their permissions that I have some idea, but not very clear understanding. Can I still go ahead with my answer? If they say yes, yes, you can answer, isn't it? So again, the nitty and gritty of interview will be taken in another session. But these are these are the things basically you have to look over. You have to attend mock interview so that you come to know how you are communicating with the interviewers. Having a self-awareness, you do the SWOT analysis. SWOT analysis, what is your strength, weakness and all. Then your body language, confidence, extremely important, because anyway, they are looking a leader in you, right? So you have to behave like a leader, somebody who has the ability to lead. That kind of the persona you must reflect. Calmness and positiveness as a leader, this is very important ingredient in a good leader, that you stay calm and be positive. Panel dynamics, people from different background will be in the panel, like somebody from they could be scientists, they could be professors, they could be from literature background, they could be from army background, they could be from agriculture scientist or from IT. So there are a lot of social activists. That is how the panel is being created, right? Dress code, formal. It should be absolutely formal dress code. Coaching versus self-study. So you must have heard about that. Many people, they say that this person cleared the UPSC exam without any kind of guidance or coaching. Yes, it's true that people can, but not without guidance. Maybe without formal coaching, but guidance is important. That's very important. Either you get it from somebody who is at your home, your friends, relative and all, or if you don't have, then you get it in the formal coaching institutes, right? Why do people choose formal coaching institutes? One, for the guidance. Secondly, to maintain proper discipline, regularity. Yes, you are coming to the class and then taking the classes. Also tests are there, you can do for assessment of your performance. So there are a lot of things for the coaching when you join a coaching, right? For some form of guidance is important. Either some friends, relatives, the parental guidance, or formal coaching institute guidance, right? So coaching versus self-study. So what are the pros for a coaching? It's a structured curriculum. You maintain the regularity, isn't it? You have regular test, so through test you come to know about assessment. Peer learning, you also, when you are studying in an institute, you come to know how others are performing, how am I performing in comparison to them, where should I reach, who are the best performer in the class, if they are getting, why am I not getting? So some kind of learning with the peers, that's very important. Regular test practice and also these are the expert guidance. If you have certain area which you are lacking in clarity, you get the expert guidance, subject matter expert, isn't it? Your mentors, faculty, that is where they are helping you to clarify your doubts and all. Cons, of course you have to pay the fees, isn't it? You'll have to pay the fees. Then limited flexibility, because suppose you are working or you are still studying, then the time issue can happen, time issue may happen, isn't it? If you are working for the full time and then managing evening or morning classes. If it is not available, it is very difficult. And along with the job, of course, it is bit difficult definitely. But doesn't mean that people with job, they don't do. They do, and they clear the exam because their mind widen, Somebody who is doing job, their mind is being widened, and they easily understand. They very easily understand the concepts. So that is what one good thing with the working professional. They understand a bit faster. So time flexibility may have, time issue may have one problem, particularly for those who are working. But those who are preparing for the full time, there is not an issue of time flexibility. Dependency, many a time you become dependent on the coaching, wholly dependent. Whatever will be done in the class, you will just study that. Or you will first try to attend the class and then you will go for study. So it's not like that. You should do some homework. Don't get only dependent on the coaching institute, isn't it? They are not the panacea for all the ills or all the issues to be sorted out. They guide you. Basically, they guide you. They'll provide you how to study, from where to study, but then anyway, you have to study, isn't it? You have to study. They won't make you study. You have to study yourself. So don't get too much dependent on anybody. Self-study is extremely important. Without self-study, it cannot happen. Coaching institute is to guide you, to show you the direction. So I basically feel that coaching institute works like a catalyst. I always say this word, catalyst. So what does the catalyst do? The catalyst speed up the reactions, isn't it? So the coaching institute speeds up your outcome. You will achieve the goal probably more sooner when you join an institute or coaching or guidance, any form of guidance. Because lot of times can be saved because that how you have to move. You get a proper guidance, isn't it? So that's where the coaching institute play very significant and very important role. Self-study, what are the pros? Flexibility, you can study as per your own timing. You don't have to attend the classes, isn't it? If you are working and still graduating or so. It's a cost effective, you don't have to pay fees, isn't it? Personalized learning, you can study as per your own you can take break and you can study. But with coaching, what happened? Generally, you have to keep pace with the class, isn't it? If you want to really reap the benefits of the coaching, you should maintain the pace with the class. As the class goes, you should also maintain pace with that. If the history is going on, yes, you should study history and get a good hold over the history. If the geography is going, try to study geography. So that's what you have to maintain pace. Here you can do it as per your own. Nobody is, you're not dependent on anyone that should I study history or geography or so. There's an independence, of course. But course, what are the problems? The problem is lack of structure. Many a time, like as I said, the coaching institutes or the some form of guidance activities gives you some form of regularity. Okay, I have to go and attend the classes. This is the timing of my classes, and so and so. The test will be there. We will complete these many chapters and we'll go for the test. So good regularity is being maintained, right? A good structure is there. That's what somewhere we lack it when we study in an isolated manner. So isolation will also be there. Possible gaps could be there. So suppose if you are lacking any clarity, you don't have access to expert guidance or so, isn't it? So these are the pros and cons of emerging in only self-studies. And we have also talked about the pros and cons of coaching institute. So depending upon what what is your capacity, what do you want, basically, whether you need guidance or you have some guidance at home, depending upon, you can choose the pattern. Either you can go for self-study, but as I said, with self-study you need some form of guidance. If it is parental guidance or relative guidance or friends guidance, if not, then you may have to take guidance, some form of coaching institute to speed up your process. Basically, you can do it yourself. You can definitely do it. It might take little more time in lack of guidance, but when you have a guidance, it becomes little faster, definitely. So the importance of PYQ I already discussed. That's PYQ, they're very, very important, very significant, extremely important. Like when in your schools and college days also used to take the help of PYQ, isn't it? So same way for civil services also, looking at the PYQ, it really helps. Newspaper reading, again as I told you, we'll have a separate session on newspaper reading, how to study. So that's very important. See, newspaper is important. One thing, it keeps you abreast with the current affairs. It improves your reading habit. That's very important. You become fast reader. Your vocabulary also improves. Vocabulary, isn't it? You learn, you come to know different words, and also your vocabulary improves. Reading and comprehension skill. Comprehension is basically to understand. Your understanding capacity, all this improves like anything. So newspaper is not only for abreasting with the current affairs, but also for improving your reading and comprehension skill, improving your vocabulary, lot of thing. How an article is being written, because in the mains you have to write exam, isn't it? So you come to know how the things are being, how it starts, what is the introduction, what is there in the body parts, how the article is being concluded. So lot of kind of benefit of reading newspaper. So you must develop a habit of reading newspaper. Now how to read a newspaper will come in a separate session. And here you can, any one newspaper, again the law of newspaper, you don't have to go with the law of newspaper, any one, generally the Hindu or the Indian Express. The Hindu or Indian Express, any one you can go through. So we have done with the preparation strategy and all. So now you can see on the screen some of the achievers, young achiever of UPSC. So look at the screen. It's about Ms. Tina Dabi, and she has made a lot of news. One of the youngest, and also from the Dalit community, that is scheduled caste community. Women anyway, we are getting the toppers, but she made more headlines because a very young age, just at the age of 21, she qualified the exam at a very, very young age, and coming from an underprivileged community. It's community. I'm just why focusing a little bit, because she proves that in India, where it's a caste-ridden society, people from the lower caste, they still feel the discrimination, but with all the discrimination, she has stopped. Whatever she would be, anyway, we are moving in a more progressive society. The discrimination is not the way it used to be earlier, but definitely still the discriminations are prevalent. So she has made news for various reasons, being very young, women, and then also coming from a disadvantaged section, right? So at a very young age, look at this. So it's a very inspiring, right, for those who are preparing. If she can do, yes, you guys can also do. So you see, look at this, Miss Ira Singhal. So with so much of being suffering from disability and all, still she made All India rank 1. So the earlier All India rank 1. So it's a huge inspirations for the people, isn't it? With so much of difficulties these people face, and still they make it, they make a huge mark. That's really inspiring, isn't it? So that shows that if these people can do, why not others, isn't it? Why not me? Why not you? Isn't it? So definitely with the proper strategy, with proper determination, it is achievable. So Benno Jeffin, she has become first 100% blind officer, IFS. First 100% blind IFS officer, Indian Foreign Service, right? So great inspiration, isn't it? Great inspiration. So this is where all the civil services aspirant, they want to finally reach Lavasana, isn't it? So Lavasana, what is the motto of Lavasana? Seal Param Bhushanam. Character is the highest virtue. So it is not for going there. You must have heard about a lot of stories of Lavasana, very interesting, fascinating stories. But more importantly, Lavasana is about building character, right? Because as a civil servant, you should have a character of very high character. As you are going to lead the country, so what is important? Character is the highest virtue. That's what has to be built, attained by an individual to work for the people, society and country. Because why is it so? Your decision will make huge difference. When you become a civil servant, your decision makes huge difference in the nation development. So that's the reason, and for any nation development, character is very important. So Lavasana is more about character building. So with this, we are winding up the session. If you have any question, so we'll wind it up with this. I hope all of you know this, who is in the screen. Sri Ravindranath Tagore, right? First person from India to receive Nobel Prize. First person from India to receive Nobel Prize, isn't it? So Sri Ravindranath Tagore, his quote, you can see that you can't cross the sea merely by standing and staring at the water. So we have done with the orientation session. I tried to enlighten you. We came up with the session to enlighten you on the various aspects of UPSC, CSE examinations. How should we approach? What are the eligibility criteria? What is the pattern of exam? What the strategy should be adopted? That's what all we discussed. So it is, then now it depends on you. That okay, it's like an overview, you got the guidance. It's like you are standing in front of the sea, and the entire session was like the sea is there, you are standing and you are seeing the sea, but the actual depth of the sea or the river will come only when you actually dive in, isn't it? So that is what you will know about UPSC exactly when you start preparing, how deeper it is, right? So do you have any question? Yes? You can also put it in the comment box and we'll resolve those queries, right? So with this, I'm winding up the session on a very positive note that this session would be very useful for all the aspiring candidates and also to those students who have already started their preparations, but somewhere they are a bit hazy or they lack little bit clarity, lack of clarity in their preparations. So with this, winding up the session, thank you, keep learning and have a great day ahead. Thank you.